Alrighty. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Before we jump into our presentation, I just want to say that this program exists thanks to the American Heritage Center, the Wyoming State Archives, and the Wyoming State Historic Records Advisory Board, also called SHRAB. This program is funded through grants made available through the Wyoming SHRAB by the National Historical Publications and Records Commission, and is administered by the Wyoming State Archives, Department of State Parks and Cultural Resources. Again, this webinar will be recorded.
Thanks, Morgan. So thank you everyone for joining us today for our September quick session. Today we're just going to be meeting the Roving Archivist Program now that we have Morgan in our position now, and we will kind of be going through what the Roving Archivist Program can do.
So just an overview, today we will cover a couple of different things. First, we're going to talk about Marcie and I before providing a broad overview of the program's background. Then we'll dig into the specifics of the site visit and the way RAP can support cultural institutions all across the state. And then we will have a Q&A at the end. So if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to drop them in the chat or save them till the end where we will address. There will be a slide that just says questions, and that's where we will start answering those questions.
Myself, I'm Marcie Blaylock. I'm the reference historian at Wyoming State Archives. Through my position, I support various research questions and research projects from patrons that come in with the digital sections and help support it, as well as supervise the roving and I have degrees in history, library and information years of experience in archives, libraries, and museums from a couple different states across the country. Kind of larger places that are a little bit more local that I've worked with. I've worked at the Center in Laramie, and I also have worked at
and I'm Morgan Stence. I'm the project/roving archivist for the program. All those fun emails that you get that are like, hey, reminder about quick tips. Yep, that's me. I have a background in English actually, but I am finishing my master's in history with a focus on public history, and it's very niche, but it's a special interest in archives. My degree program makes it very apparent that that's how we break it down. Throughout my training, I have focused on ways to support small community and larger cultural institutions, and that's just where my passions lie within archives in the public history field. So I am very lucky to get to participate in this program because I'm all about building these connections between the individuals and those who run our cultural institutions and helping make sure that we can preserve and share the history with the public, because history is just something that's taught to all of us and that we all have a piece of the pie of. So I love to be part of sharing those stories. So.
Kind of jumping right into it, what is the Roving Archivist Program, or RAP? What are we kind of all about? So the main and kind of purpose of institutions around Wyoming, so our museums and archives and library institutions, with some of us here at the State Library, so us who have a little bit of training in our history, connecting those two bits so that we can help our institution with various collection needs and collection management needs. So kind of some general, I would say, topic or research focus on are their policy, helping them to learn how to kind of learning how to set up an emergency resources in case there is a disaster and let's say items need to be dried out. We as we can help to provide ideas and resources for some budget, and then to resource various. We're not the only roving archivist program in the country. There are a few others kind of. We these other programs, and that's kind of how we developed ours. So states like Montana, Colorado, a good handful of states that have roving archivist type programs. Really help those resources in a manner that works for them.
Yeah. So how do we exist? How does RAP actually, how is it able to be formed? Well, I mentioned it at the very beginning, giving props to the people who do help us and make up our advisory board. It is thanks to the American Heritage Center, the Wyoming State Archives, and SHRAB. Those are our leading collective groups that have decided, hey, we need this in Wyoming, we want to make this possible. And so through that and the funding from the National Historic Publications and Records Commission, we're able to make this program available to cultural institutions. And something that I think is really important is that it's a free program for cultural institutions. You don't pay a fee, you don't need to submit any financial backing to support this. We are a free resource for you to use. And it's just awesome the way we've grown since then. So Marcie, do you want to talk about how we really got started?
Yeah, for sure. So the formation of the RAP program was really a phase system. So after we received funding in 2020, we were able to kind of launch our first phase of the RAP program, which largely was assessing what did Wyoming and our Wyoming cultural institutions need from us. What resources were people lacking? What information did they need? What contacts did they need? Stuff like that. So originally, with support from our grant funding, we were able to hire an initial project archivist who was kind of hired to start this, to assess the needs that the institutions had. And so a large statewide survey was conducted the end of 2022 into early 2023. And it was sent out to all of our known institutions in the state. We got a 44.3% response, which is about 77 of 174 institutions, which in reality is pretty good. I know that a lot of us have emails and things to fill out. So I feel like that's a decent kind of showing with that. So through that, we were able to kind of analyze what specifically people were looking for their institutions in terms of resources and things like that. So kind of key areas that were focused on in this survey that was given out were things like staffing, what type of funding did people need or have, what did they do for collection management, did they need help with that, how are people preserving and storing things like that. The survey got decently specific, so there were areas even talking about lighting specifications or so it was really helpful for us to kind of really get a gauge of what we were looking at and what people were going to need help with. through this as well, we were able to create an online directory of all of the cultural heritage institutions in the state. And this is kind of a good look at everything we have. We have a pretty broad showing of institutions and subject areas in our state. And so through creating this directory, not only is it helpful for us at the State Archives to kind of keep track of everyone that's in the state, but it's also helpful for institutions across the state if they're looking for connections or similar institutions to them and things like that. So that was kind of where we started with the program. Really just we were trying to kind of set a base as to what did we need and what types of resources were people looking for.
And in addition to that directory, we our first project archivist, Jordan, actually made this awesome map that you can go explore. And there's a photo of it off to the side here, which physically shows where all of the different cultural institutions are, ranging from historic sites to archives to museums to historical societies. All of them, most of them are on here and documented, but we're hoping that one day eventually we will have all of them on here and documented. So if you know of any of them that don't happen to be in our directory, feel free to submit that form. We have a form on our website where you can submit information regarding the location, the cultural institution, that sort of thing. But that also led us into our second phase, where we actually have a mission and well, it's my job, so I'm really proud of it. Actual archivist who gets to go and work in one-on-one with these cultural institutions, connecting them to the resources that we've already started to talk about and help them in most any way that they need, whether that's help with shelving or help with their collections management policies, or even that disaster planning that we talked about before. And so this phase allows the roving archivist, aka me, to travel place to place and support, and then also figure out what people need regionally, and that way we can offer workshops and really dig into the different practices that we can then bounce ideas off of. So like if you're interested, I believe it's next week, SHRAB is also hosting a disaster preparedness workshop. So that could be a fun thing to look into. But phase 2 is really what we're going to focus on for the rest of this presentation and how we're here to support. So
our big way in supporting is by doing a site visit. So a site visit is what it sounds like. Morgan would site of your interested to kind of help figure out what's going on at the institution, what you needed, and things like that. So there's kind of a general process for this if you're interested in a site visit. So first you would apply for that site visit. We do have a form on our website for that. And really this kind of just details why do you need a site visit, where are you located, what types of needs do you think you have, things like that. So kind of that general information. After we go through that, see that site visit form come in, we would try to set up an initial phone discussion with you to really confirm your goals, what do you want to happen at your institution, kind of what are you going towards, as well as we would kind of set up a potential site visit in person. Step 3 would be that site visit. So that would be Morgan coming in person to your institution to assess the various spaces and what types of collections you have and how things are organized, things like that, as well as some of that more technical stuff like policies and that paperwork side of things, as well as kind of looking at what your plans are, kind of what are your processes at your institution. And then after that visit with you, Morgan would write up post-visit report with a general kind of analysis of the visit, offer some recommendations for you, as well as some resources that could be applied to those recommendations. In the past, with some of our other site visits, we've kind of broken it up into what is most necessary, or what do we suggest is most necessary to get done right now, as well as suggestions that we suggest to get done eventually, but maybe can be held off for a little bit. And then lastly, we really try to keep in touch with everyone and really keep up with everyone, with what everyone's doing. So we do try to follow up after a little bit of time with the institutions that we had a site visit with, just to see if they need any more assistance with things, if things are progressing, or if they're working on some of the recommendations we recommended, things like that. So it's kind of a lot, but really it's kind of broken down into applying, we have the site visit, and then we try to write up kind of some suggestions for you and kind of keep in touch to make sure that along.
Yeah, so our applications, like most applications, when we say application, it can feel very intimidating, like, oh, I have to apply, like, what if I don't get approved? I don't want that to be the case with this. Just think of it as a form that you're filling out, so that way I know what you are looking for, so that way when we go into that first initial phone call, I can already have a point of reference. So it does gather traditional information, your contact, the physical location, and your concerns, but it also allows some room to specify whether or not your institution is seasonal and what type of institution you're a part of. Also, you're able to give a brief history of the institution. So to support the needs of a historic site is going to be different than to support the needs of a museum or an archive. So we just want to be able to tailor that down to what type of institution, because every site visit is going to be different. Every operation system is different. So it's different supports, so that way we have an idea of what we need to prepare before going in. And we strive to visit about 5 institutions annually with potential room to grow. So going from there, you then step into the next phase,
which is kind of that initial discussion. So it also can, I think, be a little daunting to kind of initial discussion. But again, really, we're just trying to meet with you via like Zoom or virtually or over the phone to really kind of get to know you, what you're looking for, as well as going over that initial application form that Morgan went over, making sure that we understand what your priorities are, what you want to happen at your institution, what types of needs are you looking to kind of fix. So we're really just kind of, again, just trying to clarify and make sure that through this discussion, we are able to understand what you're looking for. Also during this time, anything else that hadn't been included on this application, let's say you thought of some other concern that had come up, or you realized, oh, hey, actually it'd be nice if we talked about lighting, things like that. If they come up and they're not in the form, this also is a great time to talk about those, so that we could be prepared for those with a potential site visit. And lastly, arranging that time and date for a visit. We know that everyone's really busy and has limited time. So we're super willing to work with institutions and find a time for a site visit that works for you. Yeah, because that's the point, is to really work with you and really make sure that we're able to help meet those needs.
Yeah. So what can a site visit mean? Like we said, we're here to support in any way possible. So because they're tailored individually, you can ask about like crash courses. I'm actually preparing one that's on the basics of archival management right now and document preservation. You can ask about policy development, community engagement, and like we said before, the disaster planning, the storage needs, and basically if it's an issue that's concerning you, we're here to help. And I will do my best to pull resources and find materials that can help you do the best job that you can. So in addition to performing these site visits, like I mentioned before, we also do the workshops and have additional resources, which we'll talk about more in a minute. But something else I want to emphasize before we move on, the site visit can also be a discussion of ways that we can work with the community that supports you. So that way you can work with the locals who will come visit your site or your archive and utilize the materials that you have. You can develop trust with them, which will hopefully lead to an expansion of collections and ultimately grow the support of your institution. But each institution has its own needs and its own priorities. So that's what we will tailor the site visits to.
So kind of looking a little bit more at a site visit, like what does that entail? Like Morgan mentioned, it really is tailored to your institution. Like she mentioned earlier, a historic site is going to be different from a small community museum, or we have a decent amount of larger museums and archives in the state. The site visit is really tailored to your institution, which is why that kind of initial phone call that we have or video call we have with you is super helpful to kind of help tailor us to that. So kind of just a general kind of overview of potentially what a site visit might look like. Morgan would show up at your site and kind of have a meeting with a general overview of what she would like to see, followed by a tour of the institution, and particularly areas that on. This would kind of be paired with discussing priorities that you have for your institution, and potentially some maybe initial kind of off the bat recommendations that we might have for you. And then as Morgan mentioned, if you request some sort of like crash course on requested topics, if there's something you really want to deep dive into to learn a little bit more, maybe that's like photo storage, maybe that is shelving needs, maybe that's working with humidity, things like that. That would potentially also happen at a site visit, depending on if that's something that you're looking for and interested in. And then lastly, Morgan would kind of review those next steps. So things like the after visit report and kind of just other resources that we would provide.
So let's talk about a success story. So last year, one of our previous archivists met with the Anna Miller Museum in Newcastle to discuss ways to store their materials and develop a better monitoring system for their storage areas. And she recommended some new shelving, some temperature and humidity monitors, LED lighting, development of a disaster and emergency plan, and a change of location for photograph negatives. But in addition to that, she also started the process of, working on digitization of their materials through the use of Past Perfect. So you can see in this top photo where it just kind of feels cramped. They don't seem to have a lot of room. They're running out of storage space. And then based off of the recommendations that Linda provided, the space overwhelmingly changed. Things have a home and it's just more welcoming to come into, and plus those items are now stored in a easier way for access and availability. And it's stories like this that really just show how the SHRAB program can benefit cultural institutions, and even just some of the changes that go into what we do. So just by changing the different shelving units, like you already have a different space that feels more comfortable to walk into, and you're just enhancing your practices. That's what I love about it.
additional resources that we have available right now. We do have the Roving Archivist website up, and we'll include a link for that at the end. You have a decent amount of links and documents of various tools that may be helpful. So we have some resources on like conservation of materials. If you're looking to better store materials or figure out how to create a disaster plan or digitize materials, things like that. So we have a lot of resources on the website currently. We also have past quick tips recordings as well. So if there was one you missed, or you're looking at, you're wanting to revisit a specific topic, we have those up as well. As Morgan kind of mentioned earlier, there's also the workshops as well. So that's a resource as well. But I would encourage you to check out our website just because we have kind of a lot of resources there that may be helpful. So not only will we have the resources, but we will also have the directory. So if you're looking to reach out to another one of your fellow institutions, that's available as well. And we even have resources like professional books. If you're looking to kind of increase your knowledge on a topic, we might have resources for that as well.
Yeah, so another resource that we have is Roam and Preserve, which is the SHRAB program's blog. So each month, as I'm curating and developing resources, making sure we keep everything up to date, I choose one of the topics I'm researching and just kind of info dump and share and nerd out about that topic. So last month, I actually introduced myself in more detail. You guys are free to go check that out and read through it, get to know me a little bit more. You can also find previous blog posts from Linda and Jordan as well. They are in our archive section on that part of the website. And this is just a tool for me to provide resources in a more conversational way. So it's not just you're looking through the resource guide and clicking on whatever link you think applies to you. I go into a bit more description about them and share why they're helpful or what they might help focus on. So it's useful tips and tricks just to keep you going.
And if you're here, I'm assuming you know. But every month we do have our quick tip session. Kind of create where we can learn and connect about new things and topics. Right, exact moment we're having our night. A guide on how to use those, as those can be to store, and we want to make sure we're storing those in a way to preserve them and keep them and ourselves safe. And then in November, we will be going over make sure you're all good in your research. Earlier reminders, so just for
yeah, and right before we move into the questions portion, I just want to reiterate that to round out the whole process of site visits, a lot of the resources shared on the website will also be included in some of those reports that I write up. But the reports will also include resources specific to your institution. So if you're looking for like a digital assets management system, I will also go into tailoring what might work best for you. Whereas on the website, it'll just have general information about the different systems. And then going forward, we're here to support you guys. And so any questions that you guys might have, whether you ask them today or if you want to email me and talk about them later down the line, we're here for you. So if you have any questions, I'm going to check in the chat really quick, but feel free to unmute yourself and ask away. We're here for you. Oh, thank you, Sarah, for posting those.
Morgan and Marcie. I know Susan mentioned that she wanted to watch the recording. How soon will the recording be available?
Oh, it should be available either later today or tomorrow. I try to keep those, after we record them, I try to edit them immediately and have them posted within 24 to 48 hours. If it's longer than that, email me. I probably got distracted, and it is a top priority for me that those are available. So yeah.
I'm just going to put this on the screen right now so you can see it. If you are interested in contacting us, we have also have our Roving Archivist website where you can get to those resources, as well as the forms to fill out for like a site visit, or if you're interested in contact.
You might have mentioned this and I missed it, but can someone apply anytime they want, or is there like a window?
Currently, I don't believe there is a window. The window that I am aware of is just a rolling basis at the moment. So you can apply anytime. Granted, in the winter months, it might be more difficult just because of the roads in Wyoming to get to you. But even then, we could do a modified virtual meeting, which then we can talk through all of the different issues that you are facing and try to find solutions in a remote setting.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And how valuable, so say I'm at a smaller museum, and would sending you pictures of our situation be of help to you?
Yeah, pictures are always helpful because then it gives me an actual reference to look at. So that way, while I'm providing resources or pulling materials, I can always refer back to it and the description that you provide. So that way I can tailor it further. So let's say there's some water issues in your storage area. If you take photos of that and like where potential leaks are coming from, I can help strategize whether it's moving shelving, finding water monitoring systems, or developing a plan for, hey, we have this issue around, let's say it happens in winter, or like that transition from winter to the spring months. I can say, hey, during this time period, we should probably block this off so that way we can make sure that none of the materials are being affected and that kind of stuff. So photographs are great. In the form, I don't think we currently have a spot for photographs, but you are always welcome to email them to me through that Roving Archivist email.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Some of our communities don't have access to a lot of technology. If they don't have access to a computer, can they just call you?
Yeah, of course. Calling is actually one of the easiest ways to get a hold of me because it goes directly to me at my desk and I'm able to pick it up and just answer any questions that you have. So even if you don't want like a full site visit, you just want a solution for something, I can help by you calling me or setting up something that way. So it works out. we tried to make this as easily accessible for all community members. So, and I believe a couple months ago, we actually sent out mailers to a couple institutions. And that was one way that we tried to connect with people through that, which we'll probably try to do that again here soon.
Another question, can the SHRAB program help me with writing grants?
Yeah.
Or, okay.
Yeah. So grants and funding is one of the largest issues and topics that comes up when working with smaller archives. So on those resources page, not only do I have like grant writing tips and tricks that you can always refer to, but if you are stuck and working on a grant and you need help, please feel free to contact me or give me a call, and I will be more than happy to help write grants. And that goes to say with policies and stuff that as well. If you don't know where to start, I can also help write with those and develop those plans with you. So that way it's not just me saying, hey, you go do this thing and then get back to me. No, I'm here to walk you through the entire process. That's
really helpful because, you know, sometimes a small museum or even a large museum is like, I just need to I got to keep the lights on and do my thing. And it's just finding the time.
Right.
To do a lot of these other tasks is very hard.
We're all juggling 50 million things at a time. So if I can help in any small way, I'm happy to. All right. Any other questions?
Morgan, as a side project, you're helping out with an oral history project. For the SHRAB, but you're also visiting various towns. How could people get into contact with you if you will be around, or can you share a little bit more about what towns you'll be in?
Yeah. So as Sarah said, I'm working on an oral history project. It's the Veterans in Focus Oral History Project. And it's taking about every other weekend. I'm traveling to a different part of Wyoming. And so this last weekend I was in Cody and I got to meet with several cultural institutions up there. And next weekend I will be in Gillette. So if you guys are interested, I am going to probably today add the poster for the Veterans in Focus. So if I'm coming to your area and you're interested in having me meet with you, even if it's not like a whole site visit in capacity, just a maybe 30 minutes to an hour, just sit down. Hi, I'm Morgan. Tell me about your institution. What kind of things are you looking for? Even just getting to know you and getting to know your institution. You can contact me through any of these three ways, or by identifying when I'll be in the area and based on the oral history project, and I'll be more than happy to set up a meeting with you. I actually build in each weekend a certain number of hours to meet with different institutions in the area, so that way I can make those connections and actually show that I'm here to help. I'm not, yes, I am associated with the state, but it's not like that intimidating feeling of, oh, we're here to be checked out. No, I'm here to support you in any way that's possible. Even if that just means we sit down, grab a cup of coffee, and just chat about your collections and the resources that you're looking for. So yeah, I will post the Veterans Project on the Roving Archivist website later today. And I'll probably send it out through the email list. If you're not part of our email list, on our website is another spot to sign up for it. And send that out to show where I'll be in certain areas at certain times over the next few months. So I hope that answered the question.
Jennifer, if you feel comfortable, where are you from? I put people on the spot sometimes. Oh.
Well, just in case you're nervous about being on recording, I'm going to go ahead and say thank you all for joining today. We're going to stay on for a couple more minutes, but I'm going to go ahead and turn off the recording just in case people aren't comfortable being recorded while talking. So just give us a chance to chat and hang out, that sort of thing. So thank you all for joining our quick tips today. Like Marcie talked about earlier, we will have another one next month focusing on nitrate film. And I do want to thank Marcie for participating in this with me. I was very much like, hey, you want to help me out with this presentation? So thank you, Marcie. All right. And we'll see you all next time.